I'm Suzanne Alexander, and with the 2023 soon coming to a close, many farmers putting together year-end tax and accounting information. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now for some guidance on this. And boy, I know, Roger, just saying that probably makes a lot of people just break into hives. But what are some of the main considerations producers need to keep in mind this time of year?
Well, Suzanne, good to be with you. Most of the decisions that will bear on tax liability for this year have already been made, but I think there are still some strategies that might remain. For example, farmers have some options here that non-farmers don't. Farmers can make an income averaging election when the 23 tax return is filed next year. So you can wait until the year's over and kind of see what might be a good strategy for you. Will income averaging make sense? You want to pull some income from a high income year if this was a lower income year and shove it back into this year to fill up a lower income bracket. That's something to take a look at. Also, if you have multiple deferred grain contracts, maybe you want to elect out of installment reporting on one or more of those contracts and report the income this year to fill up again that unused lower income tax bracket. If you think next year is going to be a higher income year, well, we'll just pull it back into this year. Those are just a couple of strategies that can be used after the year is over to modify income tax liability this year.
Roger, talk about tax code. Tell us what this tax code is and what's allowed when it comes to depreciable assets on the farm.
Well, assets are depreciable if they're used in the trade or business of farming and have a depreciable useful life of more than a year. Otherwise, you just write the expense off on the current year's return. And so what farmers need to be thinking about is to consider whether the fast methods of depreciation will work for them, expense method depreciation or bonus depreciation, and know that if you claim those fast methods and then you dispose of the asset, you're likely going to trigger ordinary income recapture at that time. And also, it might make sense to purchase and place in service some farm assets before the end of 2023 to take advantage of a unique, what we call depreciation convention rule. Of course, all of this is dependent upon you being engaged in farming and not doing it as a hobby. If IRS says you're a hobby, then all of your deductions are going to be disallowed.
Good point to make. I understand that there was a recent legal case involving the filing of tax returns. What happened here?
Yeah, this was a tough one. It was out of Florida. This didn't involve a farmer, but the principle would apply broadly. This was a medical doctor who had a CPA that was to prepare his returns and had done so. Apparently, he thought for 3 years he was turning all the information over to him, but the CPA didn't get the returns e-filed. That results in a separate lawsuit against the CPA for negligence. But the penalties added up to over $80,000 for this taxpayer. And he tried to say, well, I turned all of my information over to the CPA. He's the one that's responsible for e-filing. And the court said, no. Even in the era of e-filed returns, the U.S. Supreme Court opinion back in the 1980s says that it's your responsibility to make sure your returns are filed. So here's the point out of this one. When you electronically file a return, and most people do, most farmers and ranchers, make sure you get that acknowledgement of receipt bought from the software company, from your tax preparer. So you know IRS has got that return because ultimately you're the one that's responsible for making sure it was filed.
Wow, that is scary stuff. Lesson learned for sure. Hey, before I let you go, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to you. Did you have a good time yesterday with the family?
Yes, it was good. In fact, past 2 weekends, my travel schedule allowed me to see our daughter and her family last weekend and her 4 grandkids. And then I got to spend yesterday with that little guy who's now 4.5 months old.
Oh, my God. He is gorgeous. Congratulations, Roger, on him. What is he going to call you, by the way? What are you going to go by?
He's not saying too much right now, so I don't know yet.
I don't know. Grandpa, Papa, just a few names. Well, he is adorable little guy. Roger, thank you, as always, for joining us. Enjoy the family, of course, throughout the rest of the weekend. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Always a pleasure.